Hey guys, today we are going to check out a Vac-Con SE12 Pro. So what does SE12 Pro mean? Well, it's our combo truck from Vac-Con, and it's a single engine 12-yard debris tank with a Pro reel. So that's your SE12 Pro. As far as this truck goes, we're going to take a deep dive on it. And I want to show you some of the main things that were built out on this design. Every Vac-Con is customized to fit the customer's needs. This truck is going to Envirotech equipment up in Wisconsin, and this is their demo truck. So this is like what they want to show off to their customers in Wisconsin. The coolest thing, in my opinion, on this truck is the Pro Reel. Now, the big thing with the Pro Reel is the largest working range in the industry. This reel has 69.6 square feet of work area. So it articulates a full 180 degrees. It also slides across the bumper all the way side to side. So you can clean catch basins if you're doing stormwater jobs. You can clean manholes if you're doing sanitary jobs. You have that full versatility, but really it puts you in a spot every single time that makes sense because it has a sewer guidance system. So there's a camera on the front of the reel, and when you pull up to the job, that has a highlighted area on your camera monitor showing you if you needed to get to a manhole or catch basin, if it's inside that highlighted area, you pull the parking brake, you're ready to go. Some other things with the Pro Reel. You get dual joysticks, digital controls. So you got a hose reel joystick, boom joystick, and you've got a digital water level gauge, a digital debris tank level gauge, one button transfer case engagement. Now with transfer case engagement, I can engage the transfer case here, or I can engage it in the cab. My big thing is I want to drive the truck inside the cab, no operation needed. I'll do all the operation from the front. Now, if you engage your transfer case here and you forgot to disengage the transfer case before you drive off, you can just hop back in the cab and disengage it in the cab. So we're really trying to make the engagement process simple, but we want to make the operation simple too. So this reel is an 800-foot capacity of 1-inch hose. Now Envirotech went with a 60 gallon per minute at 3,000 PSI water system, but they went with 3/4-inch hose. So what that does is typically 60 at 3, you'd be paired with 1-inch hose. They went down to 3/4. So technically they're gonna be getting about 57 gallons per minute at 3,000, but that 3/4-inch hose is a lot easier to deal with when you're cleaning storm lines or sanitary lines. It really makes things a lot easier, and also that nozzle flies up the line a lot quicker without any of that resistance behind it of the 1-inch hose. So that's some big things on the Pro Reel. Obviously, I mentioned that camera system. The other thing that's real simplistic is the screen and the switch packs themselves. You got water on your left, vacuum on the right. You got a 3-step process to run that water system to that vacuum system. So we're really trying to simplify things for the operators. With the chassis, so this is our pool truck. This is what we do as our standard offering, and the only reason it's our standard offering is because we stock Freightliner and Western Stars in-house. We will put a Vac-Con body on any brand chassis you want. So it's not Freightliner, Western Star, or nothing. But if you want a truck quick, we've got plenty of Freightliner and Western Stars here. So that makes things a little bit quicker instead of waiting for a chassis to come in. But we use any chassis brand you want. Some quick things about the chassis. It's a Freightliner 114 SD Plus with a Cummins L9 370 horsepower engine, Allison 3000 RDS automatic transmission. Now we have big bores in stock too, where you want to get that 450 horsepower. That's easy, but we don't order our trucks bare bones. So we don't just have like the bare essentials on the cab. We do an air ride cab, dual air ride seats, power windows, power mirrors, heated mirrors, Bluetooth radio, cruise control. You've got all the interaxle lock. You've got all that stuff that you would need in your cab. So at this point, I like to go over the custom stuff. I mentioned at the beginning how we can customize all these trucks to fit the customer's needs. Now, the easiest things to build out on a Vac-Con with a new build is going to be your lights, cameras, tool storage, and pipe storage. That stuff is simple. As long as there's room on the truck, we can put as many lights, cameras, tool storage, pipe storage as you want. So Envirotech went with the standard through toolbox. Now, I'm a big fan of the steel black toolboxes, but we do diamond plate aluminum too. It's really up to you, but I like the black look. So this is a full 96-inch through toolbox. Underneath it, this is a nozzle box. So in this nozzle box, I've got a pull-out shelf where in this pull-out shelf, I can put my sanitary nozzles and screw them in up top. And then for my storm nozzles, I can tuck those underneath. And that way I'm keeping things separate and organized. I've got saddle toolboxes in the rear, which are just gonna be my small square boxes where I tend to keep clamps and air gaps and accessories. Then on the driver's side of the truck, there's another nice big toolbox, which I'll show you when we get over to that side. So that's your tool storage. With lights, let's go over warning lights. You got mirror warning lights. You got one on the debris tank. You got 6 around the body of the truck. You got an arrow board at the back. Those are your strobe lights or flashing lights, warning lights, whatever you want to call them. With floodlights, we've got floods on the boom. They did floods off the back. Now, if you wanted to do full surrounding floodlights, we can do anything you want. With pipe storage, they went with the Lazy Susan pipe rack, which is our most popular pipe rack. It's mechanical, it's lightweight aluminum, it's hard to break. It's just something that's really easy to access, and you get 5 pipes in a real tight location right here on the side of the truck. So it's just a nice accessory to have. If you wanted more pipes than 5, obviously we've got plenty of room to put more pipe storage. That's really your lights, cameras, tool storage, and pipe storage. Now, I also like to go over the paint. Not a lot of people talk about this, but of course you get to pick your paint color. So they went with gray with a black stripe. Looks pretty sharp. So they got the hose reel cover. They've got the bumper end caps in gray, the sides in gray, the debris tank, and the back door all in gray. But inside the interior is this black paint. And this is a textured paint. So it's not as coarse as a Rhino liner, bed liner, Line-X style where it's extremely textured that kind of holds stains. So with this being a work truck, we want it to be smooth enough to keep clean, but we want some texture there for non-slip. So we zinc prime the entire truck. So if you dropped a wrench on this deck and you popped it down to the bare metal, obviously that's gonna corrode and get rusty, but that zinc primer holds that rust and contains it in that one area instead of it growing all the way throughout the truck. Now, with water storage is a big thing for us. So we've got 1,300 gallons of water on board this truck. We've got 4 tanks below the truck and 4 tanks above the truck. Now these tanks come up here in the frame. So 80% of my water is below the frame of the truck, giving me a really nice low center of gravity. With the way we push water, our water pump, we use a triplex water pump. So that gives a smooth, continuous flow and pressure at all times. I don't get any pulsation. I don't need anything to dampen my water pump because I'm getting smooth, continuous flow and pressure at all times. If I'm cleaning at 2,000, I got 2,000 until I run out of water. If I'm cleaning at 3,000, same deal. I also don't get any hammering out of my low pressure handgun or high pressure, and that's always smooth and continuous too. So we've got our low pressure handgun, which is 750 PSI max. We have hydro excavation, which is gonna be 3,000 PSI max. And we've got debris tank flush out. You got 8 jets in the back of the tank. That also gets 3,000 PSI max. So all of those I call the water accessories, right? So we've got the front jet hose. Obviously you control that up front. The accessories are all controlled at one manifold here on the side of the truck. So low pressure, high pressure, and debris tank flush out, easy to get to right here. Now when you go with hydro excavation on a Vac-Con, you get the 50-foot reel with a quick disconnect and a 6-foot lance and your digging tip. You can add extra digging tips if you want. I love the Dig Pig silencer. I love the rip saw. You can add any of that stuff you want. But one thing that's overlooked, we use a high pressure unloader on our truck. We don't get overheating through this. We are actually dumping the flow back to the tanks. So if I'm squeezing the trigger, I got 3,000 PSI. When I let that trigger go, my unloader takes care of it and dumps that flow and pressure back to the water tanks instead of it hammering onto my water pump. Now, I mentioned it's not overheating. We don't need a separate pump for hydro excavation. We're not overheating the water because we're using air to cool our hydraulic system in our transfer case. So I've got a cooling fan up top here just for my hydraulics, and I've got a cooling fan on the other side of the truck that's smaller just for my transfer case oil. So we're cooling those with air. That way we're using the water to work. We don't want to use the water to cool the system because we might run out of water. So that's why we use air on all of our cooling for the truck itself. Switch pack here is for our debris tank functions. Now this truck has an Aircom wireless remote. And that wireless remote controls every function on the truck. The boom, the debris tank, the vacuum, the water, the hose reel, payout, retrieve, all that stuff. One thing that's nice with the Pro Reel is it comes with an emergency backup hydraulic pump. So I've got a switch here where I can turn that emergency pump on if I have some sort of chassis issue. My chassis dies. As long as I've got electronic power, I can move any hydraulic function on this truck. Okay. The only other thing I haven't gone over here is grease points. So they got remote grease here. We're trying to keep all the grease points at an easy access location, and it's not only labeled, but it also tells you how many pumps go into each zerk. So your fan, your boom, your debris tank, all that stuff is greased right from the side here. Your fill hose is over here. Your Aero Boost fan is here. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this has an Aero Boost fan. It's a 3-stage fan, and this is your vertical CFM monster. So this is gonna do really, really great with hydro excavation, lift stations, sanitary work, stormwater work. It's very versatile. So this is something where people think, man, fans can't vacuum underwater. You need to check out some of my other videos. I'll go to lift stations, pull straight water columns. It's all about doing it the right way. We can pull a full complete water column with this pipe submerged underwater. I love when people challenge me with it because it's easy to combat. I just show them a video or go to a retention pond and show them how I can vacuum it up. So that's the big things. I mentioned those tool storage boxes that are back here. These are these squares that are on either side of the saddles. This is 1,300 gallons of water. You can go up to 1,500 gallons of water. If you do, we would have water tanks back here for 1,500. When you go with 1,300, the most popular size is, in my opinion, in the United States is 12-yard debris tank, 1,300 gallons of water. So that gives you some space here for some extra storage. Now you can go 1,500 if you want, and those would be water tanks. Now we have trucks as small as a non-CDL 3-yard and trucks as big as a 15-yard, 1,500 gallons. It's really for what your application is, depends on what size truck you really want and need. So 12-yard debris tank here, a flat style door. This door has 4 wedge locks that lock that door, and it's a positive seal. And this tank tilts 50 degrees up in the air. Now, we have different decant options, different locations, different valves, pump off systems. It's completely based on what the customer is doing and what they want. Now, this is our standard location with a 6-inch knife valve. Everybody looks at this knife valve and says, man, that's really high up on that tank. I can move this and put it down here. We can put it off to the other side. We can add multiple if you want. The reason we do this as a standard is the higher the decant valve is, the less likely it is to get clogged. And we're tilting this tank up when we decant anyway. So you're getting a good portion of that water out of the debris tank without risking the clogs every single time you decant. So if you really want to get all the liquid off, I would recommend doing one high, one low, or doing a pump off where you can actually pump that material off. The tank has an overhang to it. So it helps with dumping, but it also helps balance this truck out really nicely. So that overhang helps with the dump, and obviously this splash shield helps the dumping process too. Keeping everything in a nice, neat pile, instead of just letting the floodgates go. You can still let the floodgates go, but if you want to make it nice and neat, this tank design and that splash shield can really help you do that. We'll rotate back this way. Cone rack, we can put this on the deck. We have folding off the deck, which is still easy access, but this is really the easiest access in my mind. So you've got it right off the back bumper. You can put as many cones on there that'll fit, and you just pop them right off at a nice low location. Now, with the design of the debris tank, the airflow, we're bringing debris through the boom, and it's entering the front middle of the debris tank. Once that debris enters the tank, there's a deflector shield that's kicking it to the right-hand side. And what we're doing is we're changing direction of that debris. So we're kicking it to the right-hand side, then picking it up in the back left. And there's a stainless steel screen right here on this outlet on the inside of the tank that's keeping the material in the tank, letting that air come exit the tank. Now, that's a big piece of the filtration, but even before that, when that material changes direction, gets kicked to the right, pulled to the left, you're getting more fallout in the tank too. And once it exits that screen, it runs through this air routing and enters a cyclonic separator. So this cyclonic separator will spin that air down to the bottom and shoot it up to the top. And that really helps bring out the fine particulate. So if you have some real fine dust and the lift station, maybe the rags had a bunch of dry material in it, and that's gonna make it through that air. It's gonna spin in the air. We wanna catch that here as best we can. Up on top of the debris tank through that air routing is our vacuum breaker door. Now, a vacuum breaker door does 3 really important things for the system. One, at our control panel up front, we've got a vacuum breaker button. So if I'm hydrovacing or I'm at a manhole cleaning and there's a rock and I want to pick up that rock, I can suction down on the rock, full vacuum, lift it up, bring it off to the side, hit my vacuum breaker button, rock falls off. Hit my vacuum breaker button again, and now I'm going right back down into that manhole or that hole, and I'm at full vacuum again with immediate on off. That's the first thing. Second big thing is going to be automatic overfill protection. So we don't want to overfill this debris tank, because then you're just going to be shooting material up into the sky. And we don't use anything internal of the debris tank for that mechanism. So we don't have to seal anything inside the debris tank. We don't have a ball sitting in a screen inside, like a shop vac style. What we do is we have a float ball that's sitting in there that's tied to the arrow. When that float ball rises and reaches the top level of the tank, there's a limit switch external from the tank that closes your external vacuum breaker door and stops all vacuum. So that's just an external automatic overfill protection. Very last thing it does is when you go to drive off, doesn't matter how much material's in the debris tank, as soon as you disengage the parking brake, that vacuum breaker closes, keeps the material inside the debris tank instead of being able to slosh around and come forward on your truck into your filtration. So that's some major things with the vacuum breaker door. Those are the 3 major things there. I mentioned the tool storage. There's a cool toolbox on this truck. We had some empty space here. So a lot of our dealers, when they order demo trucks, they'll go with a nice empty space and give the customer the chance to put a water cooler rack, a trash bin, any things that they want to add after the fact. So I'm gonna let this car go by here. So anything after the fact that they want to add, I mean, we still got enough space to do that. Now, the guys at Envirotech, they're big on storage, and this toolbox here is all a 1-piece box with 2 doors. So you got plenty of space here where you can add a little bit extra, not really long handle, but you can fit some stuff there that is a little bit longer than you can in the saddle boxes back there. So it's just something else that's nice. For the electronics of the truck, one thing that's nice about any Vac-Con, whether it's hardwire or it's digital controls or the Pro Reel with digital controls, any of that, we have a 6-bolt panel that's watertight on the side of the truck with all of your electronic components of the Vac-Con body tied in right here. So that way you have an easy access location. If you're doing any troubleshooting throughout the life of the truck, you know where to go to find that stuff. It doesn't matter what control system you have. Very last thing here, keeping in tune with the technician side of things. That makes things real easy. But another thing that makes this truck easy for the technicians, we're thinking about the operators, we're thinking about the technicians too. We always have a deck on our combo trucks. So this deck is something where the technicians can work on the truck comfortably. Instead of just bolting things to a floating frame, you have the ability to fold those hose reels up on the curbside and get into the area where you want to work and not have to be in a tight area, well, generally tight area. You have enough space to work on stuff with that deck being there. Another thing with the chassis side, we have chassis parameters that we set just like any other vacuum truck or combo truck. We use the chassis for the vacuum horsepower, in this case being single engine, water, vacuum, and hydraulics. So we tie a USB card in on all of our Vac-Con chassis with those parameters to make things easier throughout the life of the truck. So that's pretty much it for the quick walk around of this Envirotech demo going out. Again, it's an SE12 Pro. If you have any questions on it at all, shoot me a comment. If you want to see this thing in action and you're in Wisconsin, you could definitely reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with the guys at Envirotech. Maybe you're not in Wisconsin and you want to see a truck just like this. We've got them all over the country for you to see. So reach out to me, I'll hook you up and we'll come show you a truck. If you need pricing, again, comment or message me depending on where you're watching. But if you guys are interested in combo trucks, check out one of these videos here and then subscribe on my channel. You just click my face right here. You'll be able to subscribe on the channel and follow. You can even hit the bell icon and keep touch and watch every video I post on here. Every time you're watching one of these trucks, you might see an option that you weren't thinking about before that could really help you. So I'm trying to keep these videos rolling and show you everything that I can on each truck that rolls out. So if you have any questions, again, reach out. But thanks again for watching. As always, work safe and buy Vac-Con.